thinking thing. It's like, you should try again in a few minutes. I'm like, no, I'm going to try again now. And then I putzed with it and putzed with it, and now we're here.
Oh, good.
Do I sound all right?
Yeah, you sound fine. You sound
Okay,
good.
good. Well,
you sound damn sexy, actually.
Well, thank you.
So how you been, man?
Busy.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think okay.
The theater keeping you busy, or
yes and no. Technically, we're in off season now,
right?
And last year, as I approached the off season for Shakes anyway, it was like, cool, I'm gonna get some things done that I've been meaning to do, and some video and some this, and I ended up getting picked up for the Cabaret Milwaukee gig, and that ended up essentially eliminating most of my off time for in between the 3 weeks performance and the rehearsals, and then we had like I think a month and a half break, and then we came back for the third section. So I ended up just kind of rolling right from that pretty much back into Shakes, and didn't really get any of the things done I had intended to do. And I had a reasonably busy 2018 from that perspective then too. So all these things accumulated on me. So as I approach this, I'm like, unless somebody just comes with something really good, no, something where I go, I can't pass this up. This sounds too much like fun. I was just like, no, I have to do this. And so right now, I'm not trying to, look at all the things, it's just
go for it.
I'm in the middle of trying to get my list built of all the vinyl I have in Discogs.
Oh,
which
yes.
is a thing I can do while I'm sitting on the couch and watching other things. Yes. So I was moderately shocked I paid attention to this whole movie yesterday. I had records sitting next to me. And I'm like, I think I was a little tired / fighting something off over the weekend, because I'm just like, I'm doing 3 things at once while I watch stuff now. I'm actually paying it. This is good. Yeah. I didn't know if I could pay attention to things anymore without having to like be playing a game on my phone or putzing with something. So I'm in the middle of that. That's, oh gosh, what's my number up to? It's ridiculous, because I'm like, I have this big stack of stuff here, and without any context to it, it's just this big stack of stuff.
Yeah.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. I like Discogs.
No, it's handy because there's a few things where it's like, yeah, if I can find a better copy of this, I can, and some stuff where it's like, yeah, I have that. I'm at 702.
Wow.
And I think I'm about halfway through. And I still got part of the problem is I have some things on a shelf, and I'm not sure how much are on the shelf, and then there's some 45s.
Sweet Jesus, man.
A while. So I started, during the Christmas, New Year's break, I got a good chunk of that. And once you get a certain level of progress going, you're like, hey, I'm going to get this done really quickly. And no, it's still about halfway done, but that's okay.
It's all right.
I've been starting to kind of go through some of the stuff that was half done in my iMovie, just kind of, mostly for Shakes.
Sure.
I had at our final show in 2018 was also our holiday party or whatever. We basically had a couple of the guys in the group that are also, and some of the guys from some, one of those, hey, we do the thing. I think I've mentioned Uncle Fergus's Magic Whiskey Band before.
Yes, you have.
It's a couple of my buddies and some of the other guys that perform, or some of the other people, I shouldn't say, because there's the
ladies as well.
I think she's a flutist. Something like that. Anywho. But they do the pop songs as the Irish drinking songs that they were always intended to be.
Sure.
So they played the after party for that. So they wanted some video. I recorded them that whole show. And just like every 10 minutes or so, every 2 or 3 songs, I would just tap pause, so instead of having like an hour and a half, I have these 10-minute chunks that I can cut up a little bit.
No, that's what you want to do. You don't want to run it long anyway, because depending on the camera you have, it could heat up too.
I suppose that's true too. Mine hasn't had some issues with overheating. So from what when that happens, it's usually when I'm doing the behind the scenes stuff, which I can also talk about in a second.
Yeah.
Damn it, I forgot about that. So, because part of it was they wanted some more video for their Facebook page so that they can kind of sell themselves a little bit easier to go, here's what we do. So I put a couple of those up, and it was more one of those, I'll do a couple, and then they haven't said anything. I'll just do a couple more as time goes on. So it's not just, here's the entire concert all at once and then nothing.
Yeah.
So there was that. We did, because that was only right before. That last show was the Friday before Christmas, because we had done the 5 Christmas. I think that was the last time I was on, was right before we were doing the Christmas carols, and those went really well. And by really well, I mean surprisingly, shockingly, very well, to the point where we said more Fridays, Jeremy, because we were clear, because every once in a while we'll talk. It's like, because that's one of the lines we use in the intro is who hasn't seen the show before,
right?
And for a while there's a certain level of that dwindling, and I'm like, and that kind of made, I think to some degree made him uncomfortable, because he's like, people, we're not getting new people, and I said we always have these people that are coming back though too, so it's a good mix. But a lot of the Friday crowd were first timers, because Monday through Wednesdays, a great time if you're in a show, because you might not have anything else to do. But on a Friday, most people we're going, I had a few of my friends that came out to the Friday shows. They're like, Tuesday we got this, Wednesday we got this, Mondays it's just not going to happen. And like hey Glenn.
Hello. Would have been here sooner, but I had to make my coffee Irish.
Oh, excellent. No worries.
I got that sitting next to me, but it's not going to be in coffee. I got Pogues whiskey. I found Pogues whiskey. All is well.
All right. I got my Blackbush.
And I also have coffee beer, so technically that counts.
It does.
So we did the 5 shows. They were all free admission, and then everything that the audience donated all went to the Sojourner Truth House.
Yeah.
And what was it? I think the grand total for the 5 shows was $2,121.
Wow, nice.
So it's all of a sudden at halftime, Terzi goes, we're almost at $2,000. I said, you say that after the show, we'll be at $2,000 in 2 seconds. You realize that? I was just like, holy crap, because we like half of that came in the last 2 shows.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is really cool. We're really excited, and all of a sudden it like doubled. It's like, holy shit. We had our largest crowd at one of the show locations we were playing at the first time. We had like 90 people.
Wow.
And I'm like, can we come back here? And they're like, yeah, we want you to come back here. You want us to come back? I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Because I was only in the song for that one. I wasn't in the show. I played. We did because Brian writes parody songs for the shows, and he wrote a Christmas carol to the tune of Rapper's Delight.
Oh my God.
And I played the Ghost of Future Past in the song. He doesn't say anything. He just hisses at everyone. And then they take the mic away back from me, and I just stop, I just fade back into the background. So I did all that.
Yeah, you said, I saw your clips, a little bit of blurb about doing behind the scenes stuff for
for my buddy Ben. He shot they had a 3-day shoot around Labor Day for I think that's going to be like 12-15 minutes. I've seen 2 cuts of that. It turned out really nice. But he I don't remember how he bumped into somebody or got hooked up with I don't remember exactly how that part happened, but they got it was a young lady that also has a martial arts background.
Oh, nice.
That's trying to do more things, and she was in the process of getting ready to move, I want to say, to England.
Oh.
So she wanted to have they worked through this little short film idea for something that would be like 10 minutes maybe, so that she would have something to show people.
Right.
So, and they ended up hooking up. There's this back room in I think it's like a restoration type hardware store, where they, like, as they dismantle other buildings, they take all the usable bits and resell them, because you have a house that has that old crap in it.
Oh, sure,
thing.
yeah.
I didn't actually make it into the store. Just everything behind the scenes was very clean and very nice. And then they had a separate room when we walked in there to kind of, it was a little storage area. And we're like, okay, there's some weights and everything. We turn around. There's an Airstream trailer in there with some seal from the state of Michigan on the side. I'm like, what the hell was that? But so I was for that, and then they're going, hey, you going to get us all that. So I had to go through all the pictures I take then too, so that Ben can start posting them on their feed.
Sure.
So, that didn't take so long. I still have to go through all the video from September so that they can have some of that too. Technically, I have all the behind the scenes video from the movie we did like 4 years ago too, but that's beside the point.
You are just a busy man.
And then for Ben, he also wrote a fantasy novel a few years ago, and we spent the last couple months going through the character voices because he wants me to do the audiobook. So that's the other thing.
Nice.
I had to move the microphone back to this computer so I could talk to you guys tonight. So I have projects aplenty that I keep nibbling away at just to try and get eventually something done.
I was gonna say you are quite busy.
And then Shakes starts up again in September. Or not September, March.
Where
did September come from? Jeez, we're almost done in September.
We're almost done with January here, so
time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so.
It is, definitely. How you doing, Glenn?
I'm doing quite well, thank you.
Excellent. Good to hear. Kind of recovering now from the holiday season?
I am.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So much so that I'll be on vacation next week.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I enjoyed your messages from the front.
Yes.
Oh, yes. My Tales from the Mall. Yes.
Tales from the Mall were hilarious. You going to make it up for Freakmas next month? Or?
That's when I'm in New York.
That's right. That's when you're in New York.
Oh, the toy show?
Yeah, for Toy Fair.
Nice.
So
you too are a busy man, but at least you get some vacay next week, so that's good.
Yeah.
So
I always take my 1 week vacation sometime right around the beginning of the year.
Sure.
So because I can't take any vacation pretty much
November,
mid-November, mid-October through the end of the year.
Yeah. I remember. I pretty much. Even though
I mean, as far as retail jobs go, I mean, I like mine. So
sure. Because
I'm selling a product that I actually like.
That helps.
That always helps when you actually enjoy what you're selling. So
yes.
So, all right. Well, we'll get started here. I've already been rolling, Doc. So
no, I saw that.
Your update is going to be probably part of the Patreon. So there you go.
I'm paying to listen to myself.
You're gonna pay to listen to yourself. Oh shit, that's right. Oh well. Yes, you are. You're gonna pay to listen to yourself.
That's all right. I'll fast forward through all the boring stuff, which would be me talking.
America. So
yes.
Right. Welcome to the future.
America. All right. Yes, welcome, my friends, for journeying down the steps to the spoiler room. We are back once again, and I have two gentlemen who it's been a while since they've been in the spoiler room, and they're here tonight to talk about an interesting film called City Limits from 1984. And sometimes I come up with these things and I don't know why and what I'm getting myself into, and you're going to find out tonight, I think, about this film and why I may regret doing the whole linked titles thing. We started off with Zombie Nightmare, last week was Nightmare City, and now it's City Limits. And tonight to talk about this film, I have back in the spoiler room, it is none other than the BFD himself, Mr. Glenn Bittner. Hello, Glenn.
Hello to you, sir. And to you as well, Doc.
You have been missed, sir. So glad to have you back here in the spoiler room with us tonight to talk about this film. And yes, as Glenn alluded to, the man who is from points unknown no, I'm not going to give his name, but he does have the chair and he is sitting in it tonight to talk with us about this film. And it is Doctavius Stephen. Hello, Doc. How are you?
I'm okay. Instinctively, when you said gentlemen, I wanted to say who walked in, but
but
I've just watched Stooges too much over the years, apparently. So all is well.
Well, I know.
I used to be Mo, but I think I more resemble Curly these days.
I think we all resemble Curly now.
Hey now,
Okay, not Glenn. Glenn.
I
is,
mean from the neck down, yeah.
Glenn,
Mark's just got to regrow that fine head of hair he posted the other day.
my fine head of hair. Yeah, about as fine as my beard I tried to grow for 2 months, and I still look like, I got attacked by a coconut and a coconut one.
I thought that was just chocolate milk you didn't wipe off on your face.
Looked like it, didn't it?
Just wash your face, mate. Oh, wait.
And just for that, Doc, you get to do the synopsis of City Limits from 1984.
Well, I earned that then. Okay.
Yes, you did.
A plague washes over at least the United States, probably the entire world. Not that we have that kind of scope. But it kills off a number of people, basically resetting civilization to some degree. It's 15 years from now, according to the beginning, based on the release of this movie that would have been about 1999 or so, which is an interesting way to spend Y2K. But we follow somewhat loosely the adventures of Lee, mostly in flashback, as he goes to the city after having grown up under the protection of Mufasa and goes to join one of the gangs in town. It's not particularly clear why he would want to join one gang over the other, but he does. And they're reasonably peaceful gangs at this point, even though there's some shenanigans going on, because indeed the evil in the city is not the gangs. They have come to peace. It's the big business federal government coming back into town. That's the real villain, brother.
Corporate evil? What?
Exactly. And they break the peace, and eventually we get out of the flashback that is the first 2 acts of the movie, and the young kids all kind of gather together again and band together to fight off corporate America and bring peace back to the city. I can only imagine this is the same city that at one point the Tick protects because of the way it's named.
The city. The city.
Exactly.
They never really named the city.
No, it's just the city.
It's
even when
well, I also too, it's like the big evil corporation whose big evil plan is to restore public services.
Right. They need it's the workforce that they demand, and it's like,
yes.
to do what? Well, we're going to put the lights back on in the city. Okay.
No, we can't have that.
No. Well, it's the means to it's the dastardly means that they try to go to that make it evil, not their goals.
We need to put lights in. What's the best way to do this? Oh, we could just tell people, hey, we're going to put some lights in. You want to help? Nah. How about we just, let's strong arm them as much as possible.
Yeah. Let's shoot up one of the gangs until they give up. Yes.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was not really a subtle reference at that point in 1984 either.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, we are talking the 80s, so big business and corporations were evil.
Past tense. You confused me, sir.
I know. I apologize. They still are, but I mean, especially.
Oh no, they're all good now.
But I mean, it was the common theme back in. In the sci-fi era, the corporation being evil was like the main component, the main villain of many a sci-fi in the 80s. Yes, it still is now in real life, which means that sci-fi was very prophetic, but
it did make this feel like a very, of the time still, even though it's technically 18 years ago.
And I think that big change in the 80s was the fact that a couple of people were finally starting to come to realizations like, well, I guess we can't blame black people for everything. So let's look at, I guess, corporations.
Yes. we'll look at the corporations, and in this one, they are evil.
Yes.
And apparently, I picked up that the plague killed most of the adults.
It seems what it is.
I mean, they mention it in there, but of course, they haven't put too much thought in the backstory, just enough lines for justifying why everybody here is baby-faced.
Well, not everybody. But
well, not everybody. Okay,
there is a certain level of. I think I want to say that they hinted at some point that the young were able to fight it off easier.
Yeah,
it gets so. It's no more complicated than that. But
you're right. There is still evil Ed Begley Jr. So
most of the bad guys seem to be more like they're, for lack of a better term, our age. Apart from Mufasa, and well. Yeah, even at that point, he would have been about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of the the kids are probably supposed to be about 18 or 19 as they push 30. Which again is,
come on. John Stockwell was so 14 when he made this movie.
I think the writer, director, producer, I think they were probably about that age when they wrote this. I don't say that to be mean. This is like they read a couple of Judge Dredd comics and came up with something.
It was. It felt like kind of like this was a kid's fantasy. Like a bunch of your buddies are sitting in the backyard with your plastic shields and bikes, and you're like, hey, we're gonna take on evil corporation.
Those were all BMX bikes until they turned like 17. And then they actually got, motorcycle licenses probably.
Yeah.
That would have been cool though if they were on. Oh wait, isn't that? No wait, that might be BMX Bandits. I'm thinking.
That's BMX Bandits, I think. But they're on motorbikes here.
Yes.
Well, and Lee, yeah, they never really give the motivation of why he wants to go into town and join such a badass gang as the Clippers, because here you have the Clippers versus the DAs.
Yep.
So based on the fact that Ray, I think, was the leader of the DAs, he was dressed. He almost looked like he was with oh heck, what was the name of that band? He was one of the guys that played with Nick Cave for a while. I can't think of his name, but he looks, at least he's wearing kind of a suit, so you could pretend he's a district attorney.
Yeah, but I mean, what strikes fear in the heart of people is small racing boats and district attorneys.
Yes,
like, I suppose to a lot of people it would, because that would signify rich people, which for anyone who isn't rich, yeah, sure. Sure, why not?
They tried to play it almost felt like, but it's really poorly written. a poor attempt at them trying to give kind of a distinction between the DAs and the Clippers, as the Clippers all looked like they stole clothing from Randy Macho Man Savage and pieced together their own clothing from Randy Macho Man Savage's toss-off wardrobe. And then you have the DAs who all kind of were more dressed like, they had a few in doctors.
Sociopathic mimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy in the doctor suit with the I gave blood on the back.
Yeah.
The Clippers all kind of have those dusters where they almost look like it's like out of Tombstone or something like that, but like redesigned for the 80s and in pastel colors.
Well, the Clippers kind of remind me of the coming from the 80s of the I'm a nerdy guy who doesn't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna get a duster, so that'll make me look cool, right?
Yes.
Well, you had the new wave look.
Yeah.
Back then, and that's what the Clippers were. They were like
kind of
wannabes.
They
were like wannabes.
If Adam Ant were a nerd,
yes. It's like the more mainstream version of, not the,
or me. If Adam Ant were me, this is
fair enough. The non-stereotypical new wave look, where it was probably closer to something that people actually wore, as opposed to the things that you see in music videos and in retrospectives on VH1 is like, hi, remember the early 80s? This was it. It's the same 4 pictures every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just about. So yeah, you had the Clippers and you had the DAs who tried to dress differently, a little less wild, like they were wannabe grown-ups almost. And then you have the grown-up, the corporation, Sonya
Sunyu?
Sunyu, who oh no, they're not dressed like, soldiers at all. You know what I mean?
They're dressed like every minion from a Bond movie.
Yeah, they
Pretty
were.
much.
The only thing missing was their headquarters wasn't a hollowed out volcano.
No,
it was a warehouse that we found that we have access to for the next 2 days. Shoot fast.
Which is the most ridiculous opening to this flashback we get, because after Lee, who randomly goes and hooks up with just random woman on the dirt road,
right? I forgot about that.
We get introduced to Lee, and he's driving, and he helps this woman pull her cart with his motorbike because the big horse that she has was not able to for whatever reason.
Well, the bike had an extra half a horsepower, probably. Than the
well,
horse.
Yeah, probably.
If he's lucky.
If he's lucky. But then what got me with this is supposed to be like in the future, plague, post-apocalyptic type thing. I'm guessing water isn't exactly in abundance. But Glenn, where do they take a swim?
In the water tower. Where else would you do it?
But that's their drinking water.
Yeah, and your skin flakes off, and this extra protein, which they probably need too. I mean, the one guy's trying to pass off cat food as food, so obviously food's scarce too. So get your proteins where you can.
There's a lot of scavenging, yeah.
There is a lot of skin, but I just got a kick out of I got a kick out of one that apparently, they just hit it off in the water barrel. I'm like, isn't water kind of in short supply? Do you really want to be going and doing?
I mean, she's like the only person there, it seems. So
yeah, that's true.
That's a lot of water for one person.
They never really say whether the plague did anything to damage the water supply, and that was an open top, so presumably it's collecting rainwater.
That's true. That's true, yeah. But
it's all the manufacturing that we'd be used to. So it's that same Walking Dead type gimmick where civilization just stops and we pick off its remains until it all disintegrates type gimmick.
Yeah, but
that John Stockwell's a pretty handsome guy in that kind of I'm not the popular guy in school, but I make jokes so they don't beat me up kind of way.
That doesn't feel familiar at all.
I love
how going back to high school.
I love how we're analyzing the water tower here. This is awesome.
This is the linchpin of the whole movie right here.
I think we've talked about the water tower more than it was on screen.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
It sounds about right. Yeah, I love how they edit that, and I just was like, okay, this is completely random. So then he drives off to
it was probably some moment that when they were making the film, the distributor said, I need some nudity within the first 5 minutes or it's not going to get sold. And they said, all right, here's a couple of butts. And they went, that'll do it.
Yeah, because there's no other there is one other
There is one other moment, yeah.
There is,
and I was surprised by that at that point, to be honest.
Considering where she was in her career, yeah. But we'll get to in general. But yeah, so we have Lee, who makes Anthony Michael Hall from The Breakfast Club look cool.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, you don't think so?
He looks like his slightly less geeky older cousin.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Anthony Michael Hall still wins the Geek Fest here, no offense to him.
He's probably Anthony Michael Hall somewhere between Breakfast Club and when he did the Dead Zone series.
Yeah,
there you go.
Somewhere between there.
Anthony Michael Hall's stand-in, certainly.
Yes.
So that's what he's looking at, and he drives into town. And there's the corporation's supposed to be kind of the bad guys here, but he just drives into their compound. And everybody's staring at him for a minute, like, who are you? And then we kind of get the bad guys to surround him.
Hey, what are you doing?
And he goes on this chase, the chase, in quotes. And Doc, this BMX chase and how he was received when he just drove into the evil compound. I mean, it really is feeling like a kid wrote this.
There is a simplicity to the story here, certainly, yes, that I noticed more than once, yes. And I know it sounds like when we say this, I'm being mean about it. I'm really not. It's just, I'm like, okay, cool. And then this happens, and I go, okay, cool. That was fun. All right, let's this next thing. All right. And I just tried not to worry about it too much because it just played out all right. But yeah, he drives in, and they go step away from the vehicle, and he goes, I'd rather not, and drives back out again before they can close it.
Well, he does scare them off by doing a donut with his.
Well, it was a donut in mud, so they didn't want to get their minion suits dirty.
That's true.
Yeah.
Those things are expensive to clean. And it comes out of their
And you only get one.
Right. It comes out of your pay.
It does. Yeah, that's true. It does come out of your pay.
It's in the Minion handbook, sir.
Yeah, I didn't read the handbook yet. I missed orientation day. I'm sorry.
There you go.
There you go. Great. Now I'm regulated to not wearing the bright yellow suits. Damn it. I like those.
They're very stylish.
He gets chased by the DAs, and one of them, in a wonderful move of, I don't know, this was such a slick move of him suddenly driving away from this shack that this guy runs into. But we find out he dies. The guy who runs into the shack died. No other movie, people who drive through shacks like that in motorcycles die.
The balsa wood, clearly he was allergic to. And that must have killed him immediately, because I went, oh, that was a neat little action moment. And then they're like, he was dead. And I'm like, no, he's not. Oh, you're serious about that. Okay.
I didn't quite believe it. Did you, Glenn, when you get that part and he meets up with the Clippers and they're all upset because he killed someone?
First it's like, oh my, it's like Lee is like a third the size of the shed. Yeah. And also the guy's like, oh my God, surprise shed. It's like, what?
I totally expected to crash into him and drive him through it.
It's like you were going to just ram into him at full speed from the side. That seems like a bad idea.
Not sure how that was going to protect him from the shed.
Well, even
because they would have both gone through the shed.
Even if you take the shed out of it, it's like, what were you were just going to plow into him side on and then just go flying yourself, probably.
Well, again, nobody said he was the smartest of the DAs.
No, that would have been the one that was played by Jason.
Yes, his name was Dirty Bob. Apparently,
the guy who died. Yes,
we got Dirty Bob.
He killed Dirty Bob. I did what?
That was hilarious.
To be fair, Dirty Bob killed himself.
Yeah,
more accurately, yes.
Relentless stupidity killed Dirty Bob.
That was hilarious. And that's where I think they were playing off, how kids rule the world and they were able to survive the plague, because we get the whole Dirty Bob thing, which instigates this big sudden rivalry that the truce is broken between the DAs and Clippers. And first off, I felt like Lee when they said you killed Dirty Bob. And I'm like, what? And Lee's like, what?
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I think the Clippers and the DAs killed Dirty Bob, because if they had restored public services like lights, he probably would have seen that shed.
They hadn't gotten to that point yet. We didn't. They didn't even say we want to do that. It said we're bringing you medicine, and I think was it medicine and food or medicine and water.
We don't want that crap.
Medicine and food.
We just want Insect Man number
47. Eye for an eye.
And that's where I was going.
There was a faintly Lord of the Flies gimmick for like 2 seconds in about that moment. I'm like, okay, just the way they're, they have the rules and everything. I was waiting for a conch. I didn't get no conch. I got an Insect Man comic book instead of the conch.
Yeah, I think pretty much the.
And somebody was reading an All-Star
here. Was it Aaron Lipstadt, the director and writer? I think he spent an afternoon and he watched Lord of the Flies and Mad Max, and then said, "Hey, James Earl Jones, that Darth Vader dude owes us a movie." So
he was friends with somebody.
Something. Yeah, I
want to know what bet James Earl Jones lost to get in this.
Yes.
Of course, we don't get him. We get him right in the beginning, completely covered in animal pelts, and then we don't get to see him for like 2 acts. But
he narrates all the in between stuff.
Yeah,
occasionally.
Well, because you have his voice, of course you're going to have him narrate. It was like, I don't have a voice. I don't have a voiceover part. Write one, damn it. We just got James Earl Jones. Okay, I'm writing one now.
They haven't invented CNN yet. I need something else to do.
But yeah, you're right about the comic book. They pulled out the comic book. I'm sitting here watching this. All of a sudden, well, did you read this? An eye for an eye. I'm like, what are we going for? Okay, they're
that's when an alien shows up. He doesn't know the rules.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, rules. I mean, generally, it's not a. Yeah, he doesn't know that. Killing people with a shed is wrong.
It was an accident.
It was an accident. You can't. It's like, it's not like Lee hit this guy while he was driving or something.
It's not like he picked up the shed and hit him with it.
It's murder by deception, Mark.
Oh,
yes.
His dishonesty in hiding that shed behind him. And the guy tried to run him down.
They do the eye for an eye thing. So they do what has got to be the lamest challenge with some plastic dinosaur ball.
Well, they had those little spinny cutter teeth. They were like meat tenderizer things on the end of sticks, essentially.
Yeah, and he was supposed to duel their best person, the DA's best person for who would be the best, and it ends up being a girl, and he's like, "Oh, I can't do that." I'm like, "Way to be chivalrous."
Well, he's like, "That's not fair," and like his buddy's like, "You're right, it's not." And I almost took from that, yeah, she's better than you.
Yeah,
she go kick your butt.
Especially seeing as we find out later that Lee came to the city to join the gang and brought his worst motorcycle.
Yeah.
You can't lead with your best motorcycle.
Yeah.
What if you get robbed or something? You don't want to get robbed with your best motorcycle.
Have to walk all the way back and get another one.
Because we get that scene later after they escape initially, and that's in the third act. But he's revealing all of a sudden these badass motorcycles that he has. It's like, oh, those are nice.
Yeah, that's
where the hell did you get those, man? But I got a kick out of it. The funny thing is, it sounds like we're ragging on. I was actually enjoying this film as wafer thin as anything is in here.
Yeah, I've seen this, not counting the times I watched it on MST3K. I've probably seen this 5 or 6 times.
I don't think I've ever seen this before.
Oh yeah, it was like HBO or Showtime, in the 80s.
Sure, no doubt.
So I just, it was there, so I watched it.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing this film either, but
and it totally wasn't because I had a thing for both Ray Armstrong and Kim Cattrall. Not at all.
No, well,
that wouldn't help it at all.
No, that actually, I was sitting there going, why hadn't I watched this film after I saw they were in there, and teenage Mark, didn't know about this film. How dare I, because they were both in there. Yes, Kim Cattrall as the corporate, the scientist.
Yes,
doctor or something.
Yeah, I'm not saying 13-year-old me was smart.
No, I totally agree with you on that. But we had the bad guy in here who the DAs we found out are working with the corporation to get a workforce.
Yes.
That was the evil thing. And even though they said they were giving them food and medical supplies, it looked like they were just giving them a stack of Jolly Good soda.
That was Old Milwaukee beer.
Oh, that's right. That was Old Milwaukee beer.
Because that's how Whitey gets drunk.
That's
sneaks in accidentally because they have Old Milwaukee beer. I saw the can from a distance. I'm like, that's an Old Milwaukee beer can. Oh, they're never going to show that close. Oh, there it is, prominently on screen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. I mean, come on.
Milwaukee's
Beast. It doesn't get any better than this.
Can't go wrong with the Beast, apparently.
You can't. It doesn't get any better than this. Yes. I wish one of them would have said that.
When you say Old Milwaukee, you said it all.
And scene.
Yes.
Yeah, well, because Whitey, who's the leader of the Clippers.
No, he was the second man to make it even at that point.
That's right. He was second. in command. But I mean, he was a popular guy, and he gets drunk and drifts in, manages to climb drunk. He manages to climb into the rafters of a warehouse.
I assume he has Jackie Chan drunken master skills at that point. At
Well,
least until he falls and almost breaks his back.
Yeah.
on the conveniently placed cardboard boxes.
Well,
It's not so much-
that's a staple of movies, though.
Yeah,
And it's not so much that they're cardboard boxes, because they are in a warehouse. They're empty cardboard boxes.
Yes.
If they had been full, that would have made a kind of more sense the way that they were stacked. But let's not
Oh
worry
gosh,
about
do you know
that.
how much I would love a movie where a guy falls into a stack of boxes and then just snaps because it's like full of like TVs or something,
Yes.
Yes.
as opposed to that totally cushioned my fall.
What happened to you? I broke my back on a PS4 box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
This is supposed to give. Damn it. Ah.
What's in that box? Ball bearings. Just boxes and boxes of ball bearings.
Yeah. And
And
they
tacks.
explode out as soon as you land on them.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you would have thought maybe they were full of old Milwaukee beer, which, wouldn't cushion you too much. I don't think. Well, it might. I don't know.
Empties. Maybe
Well,
empties, but
empties.
why put them back in the box so neatly?
That's true.
It's a post-apocalyptic world. What are they going to do? Recycle them?
Yeah, you want to keep them around because you could build shit out of that. That
You
aluminum.
could build another shed to replace the broken shed.
Yeah.
And that shed would be stronger because it'd be made of metal.
Yes. Exactly.
But that's the turning point, though, because that's where Kim Cattrall realizes the bad guys she's with are actually bad guys
They has guns.
because they has guns, which have been no, the gangs aren't going to use the guns, and so we get who was the head of the DAs, Frankie, was it?
Niedermeyer from. Wait, no.
What?
Yeah. Or Billy, who was it
Ray. Wasn't it
Ray?
Ray?
That's right,
Yeah,
it was
it's
Ray.
Ray.
Yeah, Ray, who was head of the DAs. He's like, no, we don't use guns, and that bad guy pulls out the gun and shoots Whitey, and then we get this whole.
That was rather abrupt, too.
That was.
It's, there's a lot of time where there'd been, a moment to build up to that and everything. He pretty much goes, we're going to do this. He's like, no, we're not going to do this. He goes, yeah, we are. Poof.
Oof.
And I was like, oh, crap.
The film, on the whole, even though it's supposed to be apocalyptic and that, has kind of been a little bit lighter up until that point.
Up until that point.
That was actually a brutal moment. Followed by another brutal moment because they do the funeral for Whitey, which they're doing some kind of Viking thing where they're lighting him on fire on his motorbike. And then the bad guy corporation shows up and mows these kids down with machine guns. Though
They're
still-
basically in the Terminator 2 reservoir and just get shot
yeah,
from a bridge.
yeah, because that's where then we catch up with where they manage to cross paths with Kim Cattrall's character, who now is trying to have a change of heart and want to leave the corporation. Which she has some great dialogue because she ends up becoming the love interest of Lee, which I was surprised at because I thought maybe they were going to lead towards Yogi, played by Ray Dawn Chong, as being kind of the love interest and causing that conflict between Lee and the leader of the Clippers, but they don't actually take that route. They kind of do a build up for the love interest with Kim Cattrall's Dr. Wickings.
Wickings, yeah.
And Lee. And man, Doc, did you think that they were maybe going to lead towards, the girl breaks up the group or whatever with Lee possibly going for Yogi at first?
To be honest, the Kim Cattrall thing threw me off because she just kind of walks in there and then it's like on. It's kind of like the water tower sequence where apparently at this point in human existence, you don't spend a lot of time getting to know people. You just kind of go with the flow in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No, okay. Yeah, sure. It'll be her and everything. It's like, nope. And then she's just around for the rest of it. I'm like, okay.
She doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that, but yeah, no, they didn't really designed that character with a whole lot of things
No.
to do. But in the defense of that, a lot of these characters are just kind of pieces to move around and just have them dodge bullets after a certain point. So
That's true.
it's not just her.
No, the side characters actually do more shooting than the main characters,
Mm-hmm.
which I found interesting. But at least you got the Yogi character. The Yogi character is probably the strongest female character out of our main female characters, which are there 2, maybe 3. Well, I mean, you get the side characters, but
There's
Yogi,
that gal that hangs out with Albert.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's the girl that hangs out
Frankie,
with
I think.
Albert.
Yep,
Albert,
Frankie.
yeah.
They
Frankie.
named her like halfway through one conversation, I think, and that's about it. So I
Yeah.
half remember that from the credits more than anything else.
She hangs out with Albert, who is James Earl Jones, and they're working on something, but you're not quite sure what, because after they gather at Lee's homestead where Albert is waiting for them, for some reason covered in animal pelts, though he was inside his own house.
It's cold in there.
Apparently.
But he doesn't wear it again.
No, he doesn't. And so the kids are holed up here and they kind of do an A-team thing where they decide, yes, we're going to go back and take it to the corporation because they've kidnapped all our gang buddies. And that's where we discover the better motorcycles he's been holding out on.
Yeah.
And B.A. Baracus builds them some armor for their motorcycle. I mean, they build some armor for their motorcycles.
They do the
Albert Lee, I'm not your father. Helps them out with all of his nice little toys.
because their farmstead has all this stuff, which is a cool farm and all.
He had time to clean up the desert. So anything that was left behind, he went and grabbed and brought back and fixed up, apparently. It's been 10, 15 years. It's been 15 years from now. So who knows when the plague kind of burned itself out, and so it's probably been a good 10 years of him just getting that thing all sorted out.
And the only white guy he has to deal with is Lee. So
Right.
think of all the stuff he can get done when he's not being harassed all the time.
That's right.
Yeah. I like that moment where he's kind of fiddling with the one remote. He goes, "You need something," something like effective. "Do you need something?" He's like, "No." "Can I help you?" "No, I'm good."
Well, because
I'm good, Dad.
sitting with Frankie and they're doing something and we don't know what they're doing. I love how they try to keep this secret that Albert and Frankie are working on something. We get the montage of, Yogi and helping with the armor, and they're building the armor for these motorbikes, which I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, are those motorbikes made to hold that heavy of supposed plate on the front of their motorbike?
I was thinking that, and how is that going to affect the turning radius of the motorcycle?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be driving pretty much straight lines with it.
They're really nimble on them earlier in the movie. I'm like, there goes all your nimbleness, but okay, there's a lot of bullets involved, so I get it.
A lot of bullets involved, yes.
Mick's already been shot in the arm. He doesn't want that to happen again.
Yeah, that whole sequence, I'm like, how do you, okay, whatever.
He's got a lot of layers of clothing on.
He does.
That duster was kind of thick. He gets shot before he's wearing the Masters of the Universe jacket,
he gets before he wears the Masters of the Universe jacket.
That was boss, okay? I was looking at that, I'm going, man, I know some dudes that would pay good money to have one of those now.
Dude, I saw that Masters of the Universe jacket. I'm like, I totally want one. I totally want that Masters of the Universe jacket, man. Oh, man. Yeah, some of the clothing they had in here, too. I'm like, dude, I want that. Never mind for whatever reason, Lee has, when we first got to see him, we never even mentioned it, that he had this dinosaur motorcycle.
Yeah. There's a lot of unique helmets for the motorcycle riders that kind of fade away as the movie goes. It's almost as if they've said, first you'll be able to identify them by the helmet, and then once you get used to looking at the people, we'll just let you look at the people.
Yeah.
We know you don't know any of these people otherwise. None of these are recognizable actors to you, unfortunately, but we're going to fix that.
But remember, they made specifically, what was that, in the credits, featuring was it Tony Plana or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah. I was trying to
remember
figure
there being a credit, but I don't remember what it was for exactly.
I was trying to figure out what the big deal was, Glenn, for them saying, and a limited appearance by Tony Plana. And I'm like, okay.
Well, Tony Plana has been, I mean, he's still active.
He is. Yeah.
I mean, he did a ton of stuff before this.
Right.
So,
That's
I mean, mostly TV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember what I remember seeing him in.
Well, I think it was like, wasn't he in Future World or something? Or
He's been in a lot.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was
Hill Street Blues.
Yeah,
he was not a like regular, but I mean, he was on.
He did do a lot of TV acting. He was in An Officer and a Gentleman.
In Deep Space Nine.
Oh, he was in T.J. Hooker.
Yes,
Officer and a Gentleman, Three Amigos.
Yeah,
Born in East LA.
Yeah,
I like that movie.
That's a good movie. That was all after, but yeah, he had showed up in TV. Oh, he was in probably the other movie that was big for him before then, because he was in Valley Girl. He played a bit part, but he was in, I mean, Hill Street Blues, I think, was one of the bigger things. But I just love how they made a big deal out of it. You know, I mean, he got credited after James Earl Jones, even. I mean, it said, featuring James Earl Jones and a limited appearance by Tony Plano. And I'm like, okay.
With him and Robbie Benson.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure I saw both of Robbie's parents in the credits, too. So I think that's how they got him.
Well, I think it was that, and it was he's like, I'll do it under one condition. What? I have to wear pants. We'll just have you behind a desk the whole movie.
I don't think he stood up.
No, he never moved from. He just sat there behind. Like once, all he does is like the one whole scene that's like 10 seconds long. He just looks at a phone. That's all he does.
That's true. So how long do you think they had him on set? Like an hour and a half?
If that, because
he looks at the phone. He's going through paperwork, looks at the phone, and then, spoiler alert, because of the room, he gets his desk jammed into him by a motorcycle.
Yeah. Spits up some marmalade.
He was actually younger than the other guy who we'd seen more often, who I just call Evil Ed Begley Jr., because that's what he kind of looked like. This guy is actually running the whole thing, which I'm like, okay, but we only get like 2 minutes tops of him. Yeah, and part of that is him staring at a phone. And then the other part is when they off him at the end, because he is the big bad boss guy. There's no big showdown or anything, although he does get some evil dialogue of, I am everywhere. I'm
inevitable.
I'm inevitable.
And then Ray just goes, no, you're not. Bam.
And they drive the bike into the desk, which is one of the better finishings I've seen in a low budget sci-fi film. I mean, the one guy doesn't hesitate. He just drives his bike right into the
Everybody else is on foot. One guy on a bike in an office. I think that needs to be pointed. He's not behind a desk like in a field or something.
No.
They go into the office and he just down the hall.
He drove this bike up the stairs.
Now, if Robbie Benson had been smart, he would have just in the last second jumped out of the way, and Ray would have gone through the wall and killed himself.
Yes. He was no Lee.
Yeah.
No, he was no Lee. Oh.
Either he was no Lee or Ray is no Dirty Bob. One of the two. Or both.
Well, during this big fight finish where they're confronting the company who wants to turn the lights on the city.
But they're doing it in evil ways.
They're doing it in evil ways. They're restoring public
Look,
service.
if you know a peaceful way to turn on lights, I'd like to hear it, because I got to kill 4 or 5 people every time I come home.
But suddenly we realize what the secret project is that we'll just say James Earl Jones and Frankie were working on, which are these remote control planes.
Model aircraft drones.
With
bombs in them.
With bombs in them. Yes, we have our drones, folks. Do you think drones are new? Nope. We've got Albert and Frankie controlling them, which I actually thought was a cool sequence.
I liked that, because they kept it a surprise up till that point. So as soon as you see them, you're like, I know what's going to happen.
Although they did kind of try to do some editing trickery with how they got that case all the way up to the roof of the building.
Got no problem with that.
It's like, oh, they head to the firewall, the stairs, the ladder or whatever, and they're near the bottom, and all of a sudden we cut, and we already see the cases at the top of the roof, and then James Earl Jones is already there as well. Then Frankie's coming up, and like, oh, okay, we're just not even bothering showing them get to the top. We just kind of cut away.
There was no need.
There was no need. No,
I like before that to go slightly backwards as they're coming back to town. They in the middle of his like living room essentially was this car.
Yeah.
And at one point they go, one of the guys goes to Lee, goes, "We've been talking about this. How did he get the car in here?" And he just laughs. He goes, "The car was here first."
Yeah.
And then when they go to like we're going back to the city, we're going to take on the city, they drive the car through the wall of the house. And I'm like, it was just very much because there's no, in some movies there would have been this buildup and it would have ruined it. There would have been you would have seen them getting into the car. There would have been you ready to go. There would have been some smarmy real cutesy dialogue. And
just
then
better make a door.
Right. And it would have been a joke. And then all of a sudden you would have cut outside and they would have come out. You're just outside. You watch the motorcycles go. And all of a sudden, why are we still in the, oh, crap, the car came through the window. Oh, and we're going.
Well, that's like a lot of stuff in this film. There's really not like that buildup like you're normally used to. Stuff just happens.
But in a way that makes it work as opposed to telegraph. It can feel when you do it the other way, like you're telegraphing something so that everybody gets it. And I'm like, there's a lot of things here where there was like, we don't need to do it like that. We can still do some of those things, but we're going to do it kind of judiciously. I'll admit I was also surprised too when as they're going and James Earl Jones grabs the cassette tape. I'm like, all right, I saw a Motorhead shirt before. It's going to be, stereotypical kind of. Yeah, and it's Little Richard, singing "Rip It Up," and I'm like,
yeah,
that's perfect, and I love that song. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go kick some butt. We're gonna tear it up, rip it up. Yes.
Well, and then we get that thing too as they're on their way to battle the corporation. How the Clippers and the DAs finally come together
completely. Yes,
completely. Oh, yeah. That shot, which Glenn, actually, there's some kind of cool cinematography in this film. In some spots, like that one shot where they're coming together, almost like a zipper. I mean, there's a few shots, wouldn't you say, Glenn, that actually look pretty good for camera work for a film like this?
Sure. Why not?
There's some. I thought.
Yes. I mean, it's not. Despite the script being horribly written, I mean, and it has a very dated feel to it. The things that filmmakers in the 80s thought, it looks badass. This looks badass. Look at this. Look at this helmet. Look at this helmet we made out of plastic. It looks badass. It's a dinosaur. Rah, look at it.
Yes.
Look at the armor we're going to put on these motorcycles. Oh, this is awesome. We're going to have meat tenderizer lances. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the film itself is not poorly made. It's just poorly written and directed.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, even the drone stuff, I mean, that was kind of cool with the way they did with the remote control planes and that. I mean, you get the one shot where it flies in, you get the comical shot where it flies into the door as the bad guys are trying to run away. I mean, they actually you're sitting there going, that wasn't CGI. They flew a plane.
I had a similar thought, actually. I'm like, wow, they timed that really well because there's no other way to do that.
There was no other way to do that back then. And then the other two planes, I mean, you get that shot of them flying over the tower and actually dive bombing and coming. I'm like, wow, they're actually kind of doing some cool stuff in this film that, was really weak in script and directing. And we won't go into the fact that the credit sequence felt like a TV movie. I mean, it was the 80s, the lower budget 80 films. They did that where you got the credits while the action was going on, which just, but the way they were placed and everything, it really felt like TV. Which the only thing that the director had done before this was a movie called Android, which had a lot of this cast.
Yeah. On it and then finally, I don't think he's done nothing but TV since.
No, he didn't. He pretty much, I mean, there's some TV movies as well, but he pretty much has done TV ever since.
And like, I mean, like not like bad TV either.
No.
I mean, some is.
Well,
But
recently,
I mean,
he did
I mean,
recently. He directed Grimm episodes, I think. And
yeah, and that's well, Grimm is well made, but it's not a good show. But yeah, I mean, he also did, I think, like The Medium, and I know he did Elementary.
yeah.
So, or at least I mean, not like all of it, but some of it. But yeah,
But I mean, if anybody listening to the show at all, you've got to put into perspective, though, who the hell is in this movie? It boggled my mind who was actually in this film. I mean, one, we get Don Keith Opper, who I think, brother or whatever is a producer. So he was in Android and in this, and then he would go on to be in Critters. But you got Kane Hodder, we mentioned Kim Cattrall and James Earl Jones. You actually have Dean Devlin in here.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I saw him in the credits. I'm like, wait, is that Dean Devlin, Independence Day, Stargate Dean? And I looked it up on IMDb, and sure as shit, I'm like, holy crap, that is Dean Devlin.
Once I put the name in the face, I'm like, I thought the same thing. I'm like, thank you. I'm glad you checked.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's got to be him then.
And then Kane Hodder was an extra in here as well.
Yep.
Oh, and it just blew my mind when I was seeing the credits. I'm like, wow, no, not all these are like huge names, but I believe they're known names now. And it's just like, here they are in this low budget sci-fi film.
Got to start somewhere.
Every
credit is a credit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird too, because normally when you see a lot of these movies from the 80s, there's like maybe one or two people who are actually still working in the industry. But I mean, this has tons of people who still are.
Yeah.
Because yeah, and I mean, a lot of them were bit parts, but yeah, I mean, you got Don Keith Opper, who worked up through like the mid 2000s. I mean, yeah, well, obviously Dean Devlin, who's still working, and John Deal.
Well, Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall. Although you don't see her much anymore.
No.
True.
But I mean, yeah, a lot of these people worked for a long time still.
Yeah, they're producing or doing possibly some more behind the scenes stuff. But I mean, freaking John Stockwell as a director, he directed the horror film Tourista, which, came out during the time when people wanted to make it scary to travel to Europe. So in South America, you don't travel anywhere. That horror, but he's directed like 20 things. What else did he direct here? Dark Tide he directed. Tourista is like Blue Crush, which is a film that was a little big. Crazy Beautiful. The guy did a kickboxer movie. There you go. But I mean, yeah, you're right, Glenn. A lot of these people who worked on this are still active quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it just blew my mind that they're in this little kind of weak written, that everybody's making the best of it, is the feeling I got, isn't it, Doc? That everybody seems to be making the best of this, even though I think they're all aware of what they're making.
That seems a fair assessment. Certainly, there seems to be a certain level of enthusiasm that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd say that they're taking it, trying to do what they can with it, even knowing that that's what they can add to it is only going to give it so much. Like we've noted, it's not a deep script. There's some moments in it too where I kind of when you first go into the Clippers hideout or headquarters, whatever you want to call it, they're playing some game in the corner. And all I could think of at that point, I'm like, if this is a movie made today, we'd have like a 15-minute sequence on how that game is played.
Yeah.
Watching an entire game played. And they add much.
They would have worked it. They would have worked it into possibly the Challenge 2 or something,
Yeah, it would have been something he would have had to do to pass. And yeah.
Well, in all honesty, when he first walked into their hideout, I'm like, holy crap, this is where they got the idea for the hideout in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It felt a lot.
Yeah,
the foot hideout,
Oh, that one.
The foot hideout with all the kids.
Yeah.
It had kind of that same energy where they're just all these young kids are playing games or, doing whatever, skateboarding or whatever on it.
I'll have to bust out the laser disc and
there's
check.
something that popped in my rewatching this. I wanted to. There's part of me that wanted Lee at the end of the movie, because in the beginning when he shows up to join the Clippers, they're like, it's like, we're not looking for anyone. I wanted him to go, so now that most of your friends are dead, you got room in the gang for me now? Because I think you got openings. The fact that everyone but like Yogi and the other girl is dead, unless you want to be a DA, because pretty much Clippers are gone. There's only like 3 of you left.
Yeah, there weren't many Clippers at the end of the movie, and then there was the wannabe Clipper Kim Cattrall, who was there for really. Unfortunately, her character served very little purpose. I mean, she was used to where she had the map for the sewer,
and she kind of helps with the lookout tower, taking that over
to turn off the lights.
Yeah, she does some things, but it's nothing.
No.
Again,
wait.
Nobody in this film gets a whole lot to do if you're not like one of the main 3 characters. So it's yeah.
Well, I for one am shocked that an attractive woman in a 80s movie is only used to advance the plot for the male character. That's just stunning to me.
And don't forget the unneeded but surprising topless scene that she did as well.
Did not expect that.
So
that totally caught me off guard at that point. I went, oh, okay. Because the way when they started to kiss right before that, they cut so quickly. I'm like, okay, that was a pretty respectful way to handle that. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, never mind. I was wrong.
Well, not only that, but she wakes up. She's got a magazine page stuck to her.
I thought it was a scarf until she went to grab it, and then it crinkled, and I'm like, oh. That's not better. That's worse.
I'm just like, what the hell? Oh, yeah. Here's one trivia fact about this film.
There's only one?
There's 2. Oh. One of the trivia facts we all know, it was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah.
And the other is the script was largely based on, take a guess. Glenn, what do you think? Number one guess of what the script was largely based on, like a classic piece of literature.
Well, I mean, aside from I was going to say Lost Boys, I meant we already mentioned it.
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies a bit, but what else was it based on?
Hold on, Doc. What do you think it was largely based on?
I already said Judge Dredd comics. Those are classics, sir.
Okay.
Well,
according to Ibidem,
yeah.
The script was largely based on the Three Musketeers.
What? What?
Me? Oh, huh?
So okay. So if we go by that, then
so which of the Musketeers dies again? Because that would be Whitey.
Okay.
Well, and Lee is obviously then D'Artagnan.
Yeah,
sure.
Lee would be D'Artagnan.
And that makes Mick, not Porthos. What's Damn it. And then Ray's got to be the 4th one, right? Based on that logic?
No, well, no. The 4th one has to be Yogi.
Right. I would think Yogi is.
So Yogi is probably what, Athos?
Yeah.
And Mick is Aramis.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sure.
Because then that would make Whitey Porthos.
Yes.
But Porthos doesn't die.
No, Porthos doesn't. Who does die?
Somebody dies, doesn't that? It's been a while since I've actually watched / read The Three Musketeers, apparently. I've eaten the candy bars more recently, but that's not quite the same.
Well, in the last Three Musketeers that was made was that I remember watching was with the
yeah, I watched that one.
The Young Guns guys or whatever it was.
The Young Guns.
No,
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Gene. Well, there was the one after that.
Yeah, there was one after that, but I can't remember anything about
they made
that
one like 2-3 years ago too that I didn't go see, but I'm sure Mark did.
Yeah, I think I saw
Wasn't
it.
there one about a hot air
rental.
balloon at the end or something like
Yeah,
that?
that
I remember
one.
you talking about it.
The
That's
Well, that was just called The Musketeer, which I think was
oh.
supposed to be.
Was that the steampunk one?
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
steampunk one.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out which. I'm horrible at literature. I hardly read, so I don't know which musketeer died as well. But
It's been a while.
but yeah, I mean, so would that then make
It was Cardinal Richelieu then.
would Cattrall be Milady de Winter?
Maybe.
Because
Yeah, I think that. Well, yeah,
So
Robbie Benson
D'Artagnan-
is obviously Roquefort.
yeah,
And then like evil Ed Begley Jr. would be Cardinal Richelieu then, maybe.
yeah,
Something
The
like
guy
that.
who gets blown up by the
Mhm.
airplanes.
Yeah,
and therefore, the guy who's behind the desk would be King, would be the king.
Yeah, he already called him.
Or-
yeah. It's I
Roquefort.
I need to rewatch or reread.
yeah. I
So
would need.
who's Albert then? How does Albert fit into that? Not that it has
Albert
to.
is the he's the one servant who actually is better than better at a bunch of stuff than everyone else.
Take it.
I'm horrible. Don't even ask. I only know the movies, which I thought were really good. Like Man in the Iron Mask, I thought was really good. So, you know,
They've done that like 4 or 5 times already, haven't they?
they have, but the most
remakes are killing movies. Sorry,
the one with John Malkovich. So
oh.
who was the most miscast. I love him. He was great in the role. Don't get me wrong, but he was completely miscast as one of the musketeers because you have like Richard Depardieu,
Gerald Depardieu.
Gerald Depardieu, excuse me. You had like
Yes.
I think a couple British actors. I mean, you had Leonardo DiCaprio playing the king, which he did well in, but I mean the other musketeers were like European actors, and then you had John Malkovich in there, who at least he didn't try to do any accent, but that movie was.
One of these things is
not
like
like
the
the
other.
other.
One of these things is kind of the same.
Although I will say that the Man in the Iron Mask and the Three Musketeers with the Young Guns did kind of fit together. So, but I digress. So yeah, supposedly this film is the Three Musketeers.
I could sure.
And I guess you could. I mean, as much as barbed wire is Casablanca.
I'll have to go back and read the Three Musketeers and look for a duel in a museum.
There you go. On motorbikes. No, just kidding. They didn't have those back then. I know. They were just bicycles. They just ran around on bicycles.
Ring, ring.
Ring. And in that, I think we're going to end tonight of City Limits. Gentlemen, we'll go down real quick. I'm going to ask you, see if there's something about the film. We probably have given this film more talk time than anybody ever probably has. But Glenn, is there anything we didn't touch on you maybe wanted to talk about?
Not really. No, I mean, we bashed it a lot, but I mean, like I said, I watched this movie a lot when I was younger. It is what it is. And it was hard for me to rewatch it because of having seen it several times on MST3K.
Right.
So all that's going through my head most of the time is stuff from that.
Mm-hmm.
So the song about Kim Cattrall and when Robbie Benson dies, and like, if you could taste Robbie Benson, that is celebrity preserves. Yeah.
It's like when you hear the normal version of a song and all you can hear is the Weird Al parody version of it.
Yeah, that happens to me constantly. Go figure.
Yep.
Doc, is there anything at all about the movie that we didn't touch on you maybe wanted to bring up?
Having watched this, I was actually moderately surprised that this has not been restored for Blu-ray by one of the more relatively minor labels that put a lot of the stuff out that I end up buying. To be honest, this seems like it would be a perfect thing for something like that. So
yeah, I'm surprised Arrow hasn't tackled it.
Arrow, Severin, maybe, or what's the other one I buy a lot of? Big stack of them over there. What's that?
Vinegar Syndrome.
Vinegar Syndrome. Yes, thank you.
This would definitely be a Vinegar Syndrome. I'm surprised they haven't.
It's a little too lowbrow for Kino Lorber, but I could see Vinegar Syndrome or Severin picking this up and running with it. Definitely, maybe not
because of the names.
It's not evil enough for a Diabolique or anything like that.
No,
yeah,
but I mean, because the names of it alone, you would think they would play off that.
Yes,
you know, because you could sell it on that.
I'm assuming it's Little Richard blocking its release.
What? Oh my gosh, this is the prequel to Tank Girl.
What?
That's what that's in my head. That's what this is.
Okay.
Because you've got the plague and whatever happened to screw up the world, and then you've got evil water and power. The beginnings of water and power. This is how they started. They started off just like, we're gonna turn the lights back on. They're like, let's just kill people instead. That's what this is.
Holy crap, you're right. You could put this.
And Tank Girl is the daughter of Wickings and Lee.
There you go.
Holy crap, Glenn! You copyright spoiler room.
I just cracked it open.
You just cracked it open.
Just provided mega value for this film.
You just gave this film a whole nother level of value to it that you could write it as a prequel to Wow, I can see it now too. The costuming and everything.
Now I kind of want to go through, like old interviews and see if he goes, yeah, I watched this 80s film at one point. It triggered me to do this Tank Girl gimmick.
I'm not sure, but I think you're onto something, Glenn. If you ever there you go. You could write the comic for it. Just find yourself an inker.
Yeah. Ooh, all right, here we go. I need another project, apparently.
Clearly.
So yeah, folks, I think we've covered it enough tonight, but I will say that we did run on it kind of hard, but this actually, for lack of a better term, is just a quaint little 80s sci-fi film. I mean,
I thought it was fun.
You definitely have to look at it through the eyes of mid 1980s film.
Yeah.
You can't view it from a modern standard, because then you're like, well, this is okay.
As far as especially mid 80s sci-fi goes, this thing never tries to get. I mean, we do have some of the darker scenes in here, but overall, it doesn't seem to ever get too heavy.
Yeah,
it doesn't get too preachy. It's just there. It really felt like they were having fun, just having fun making this little film, which doesn't have many set pieces, so it is a smaller film, and yeah, it is what it is. But while the script is weak and the direction is bad, the performances and characters and everybody involved, as well as everything else with the film, it's fun. This is not a painful bad film, I don't think. Glenn, would you say this is not, especially of 80s, mid 80s sci-fi, this is not one of the painful bad ones?
No, and I think part of that is because, like a lot of the films from the 80s, it's not really long either. It's like an hour, and I mean, if like hour 21 minutes. So, and when you do what I do and you watch at 1.4 speed, that's like nothing. It makes all these films better. I so love the fact that I can just hit the D key on my keyboard and make movies go quick.
There you go. And Doc, how about you? Would you say this is not a painful bad mid-80s sci-fi film?
No, like I said, it's fun. Mm-hmm. And as I kind of half referenced before with, if they made it now, this would be like a 2.5 hour movie now.
Probably. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to go, well, things were better then or things are better now. It's just, storytelling has changed so much in the last 30 something. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much, Doc.
No, it just suddenly dawned on me this movie came out when I was 10.
Yeah, yes, it did. Yes, it did. I just felt my arteries harden. Thank you very much.
Just the way the storytelling has changed. And like Glenn said, if you look at it from it's a relatively lighthearted, mostly fun, just kind of relax and enjoy it for what it is rather than for what it is not. I think it's a very fun film. I had a good time watching it. If you want something more in depth, then it's going to dig into how this whole post-apocalyptic world works, this is not the movie for you then. But yeah,
No.
if you want something relatively light and fun, this is perfect. This is a fine way to spend a Sunday evening watching this.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, don't take it. It's not serious 80s sci-fi, which it doesn't take itself that serious either. At least the feeling I got with it either. It's just they're telling this basic story. They're having fun. They got some money some scratch to make this film. They were able to get some fairly large names of the time in the film. And yeah, you could tell that there is talent in this movie that makes it probably more entertaining than it has any right to be if you think about it.
That's probably a fair way to put it, certainly, yeah.
It
could have, in other hands, this would have been much less watchable, very clearly, yes.
With different cast and different crew, it definitely could have been just one of those really painful 80s, mid-80s sci-fi, like just roll your eyes. But yeah, I recommend it. I think we all would recommend it. If you're looking for a kind of fun 80s sci-fi film, this one is it. Watch it, not necessarily MSTK3 version, because I think it stands on its own. No, it's not a great story or a deep story, but it's a fun story.
Watch the MST3K version. It's hilarious.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go.
There are a lot of movies. There's two easy ways to define MST3K movies. Movies you can watch without the MST3K, and movies that are really not possible to watch without them making fun of it as you watch. This is, I think, the former. I think you can watch this without that and still have a good time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So watch it and then watch it again with the commentary.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go.
Now we got a plan.
Watch it first without the MSTK3, and then watch the MSTK, 3K, K3, whatever. I don't personally care for the show anymore, but that's just me. But now I think we'll wrap it up here. This is where my guests, as always, we give them a license to shill. So go ahead, Glenn. Where can they find you at, sir?
Really nowhere, but I'm finally back to doing the Adventure Party podcast, or my tabletop gaming podcast I do with our good friend Brad Ludwig. I am trying to, hopefully on my vacation, get back into some of the game stuff I'm doing, where I've been working on the prequel sequel to my RPG Mistrunner, which is Demon Eater, where I don't get too sidetracked and work on other stuff, which I probably will. But you can also find me. The best way to stay in touch with me is I'm on Twitter a lot. Just look for @GuyInABunker.
There you go. And Doc, where can they find you at?
Well, physically, I'll be at Best Place in March, presumably. I'm assuming that's when Shakespeare Raw starts up again. It's the 4th through the 6th, starting off season 5.
Nice.
Season 5 of Shakespeare Raw. We're starting it with Hamlet. So if you want to go see people pretending to be a whiny teenager, that would be the place to do it. We're on the Facebooks as Boozy Bard Productions. We're on the YouTubes a little bit as Boozy Bard Productions. We had a successful Christmas Carol run. So thank you to anybody who came out for any of those 5 shows. We raised over $2,000 for charity, and I'm very proud of all of you.
Awesome.
I didn't do anything. I was just there for those shows, but all the ones that brought the money. Thank you. We just did silly stuff for you.
Awesome. So keep an eye out for that, folks. I thank you. I hope you've enjoyed our lively discussion of this film. I want to thank my fine friends here for joining us tonight to talk about it. And now I think we'll just say good night, gentlemen.
Night, gentlemen.
Night, gentlemen.
Now do it as James Earl Jones.
This is CNN.
Good night, gentlemen.
This is the spoiler room. Alrighty, well, thank you, guys.
I am your spoiler room.
I am your spoiler room, Mufasa. I love how you call him.
Well, I figured if I went with Vader right away, we'd give it too much. It would be too easy to figure it out.
It'd be too easy. Make people think.
And he was a better dad, so
he was a better dad, so that's true. Well, thank you guys for watching this and doing this with me. This is fun.
No, I agree. This was one of the more fun ones I think we've done in a while. As us anyhow.
It was fun to get back.
Yeah.
Well,
I've missed talking about some of this stuff. So
well, it's fun to have you back. So
yeah,
I've got next month's episodes up and running, and we've got the two new people who I'm going to try to work in a little more. Lamont's already been on 2 shows now,
Nice.
and Cara, she mostly does horror. She does do other genres, but mainly horror. So I'm going to see if she maybe wants to do our Welcome to Cronenberg, our Shivers episode next month. See if she wants to get on that as well. So yeah, but this was kind of fun hooking all these 3 films together via title.
I had no clue until you said that. I had
Yeah.
no clue where this. I'm like, where the hell did he find? Because I didn't
Yeah.
even realize it was an MST3K film either.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what is? I'm sure I've read about this at one point, but what the hell is this?
Well, I wanted to leak the titles, but I also wanted to try to, pick films that either were a little bit known in some circles or had someone that you would recognize.
Right.
So when Dawn picked Zombie Nightmare, I'm like, oh, well, January last year I did It, Them, the Thing, or I did It and The Thing, and then, I did Pronouns.
Sure.
So I like this year, like, let's see if I could link the titles together with 3 films that might be interesting. And so I'm like, okay, she picked Zombie Nightmare, which was a movie I forgot I had watched till after I started watching it. And I was like, oh God, this one. I was like, that was like, wow, oh man, there's a reason why I blocked this movie from my brain, and then I was like, okay, so it's Zombie Nightmare, so then I started looking for titles. I'm like, oh, Nightmare City. Okay, Nightmare City is a Italian not zombie film, and that was a fun discussion with Cara and Lamont there. And then I'm like, okay, so I got Zombie Nightmare, Nightmare City. What do I got for city titles? And I saw City Limits. I'm like, okay, well, what's this? Okay, 80s sci-fi. Wait, James Earl Jones. Wait, Kim Cattrall. Oh, Ray Dog. Like, well, I think I found my 3rd film. They're like, how have I not known this movie? But yeah, you're right, Doc. This thing deserves I think a little bit of, and you got enough live cast members yet that you could probably do some kind of retrospective interview with them.
That too, yeah, no, and it did feel like that perfect kind of. This is sort of thing where I would expect people to, I haven't watched, kind of like Glenn said, I haven't watched that since blah blah blah.
Yeah,
because it's probably not that available. I think the copy I saw was a VHS rip.
And it's one of those films too where I'm thinking, I bet you there's some story.
There's probably at least a couple, yeah. Just hey, we did this, and so got hurt doing that, or
or James Earl Jones said this, and he woke up from his drunken stupor, going, "What the fuck?"
Well, I don't have that.
Why am I wearing all these furs?
I don't have that Vader money coming in anymore, so you got to take every job I can.
Yeah, right.
I will never need to be Vader anymore. They killed him off, so
yeah. I'll never do that voice again.
They're never going to make another Star Wars movie.
When was Jedi out?
83.
That's right, yeah.
Because that trigger, I'm like, the year before, it's like, well, Vader's dead.
Yeah.
I just want to pick up this low budget gig. You probably went right from one to the, not necessarily right from the well, I've got 3 days in a desert somewhere. I got just
that, and it was after that James Earl Jones got a new manager.
I was doing a favor for a friend, Mark.
Actually, you never know with the amount of people that were involved in this.
It wouldn't surprise me if some of the like the producer, they were friends. It's like, yeah, you can get me for scale for a day, or something like that.
It wouldn't surprise me at all that they got some of these people because he knew people. Because, like I said, most of the crew had worked on the previous film, Android.
Yeah, and like I noticed a couple of people, like writing, 2 credits right in a row where it was like Benson and I'm like, that's got to be Robbie's parents.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably how they got him for that half a day.
Yeah. Yeah, they got him in there for half a day and go, here you go.
Just sit behind his desk.
Sit behind his desk. In fact, if you don't have to even memorize your lines here.
Or just put them on the papers in front of you. It's fine.
Oh, and we never even touched on it, how Don Keith Opper actually was part of writing the story. He got writing credits for this. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it just blows my mind when you get some of these low budget films like this. You see who's in it, and you're just like, really?
Well, especially when it's not the people who they had a history of doing maybe like a Dick Miller where he wove back and forth between different layers, or you get the John Carradines where the joke was you give him $20 and a bottle of Jack and he'd be in your film for a day or two. Lon Chaney Jr. for a while, that sort of thing. Where they were just that was their job because they had to keep filling time because they needed every dollar they could get.
What I'm just looking up here, because I mean we didn't cover it in the credits, but here this will be in the after hours.
Yep.
Looking at this, the producer though of this, one of the producers of this, holy crap, Rupert Harvey. He produced Android, which most people worked on, then City Limits.
Mm-hmm.
He produced Critters, Slam Dance, line producer for the Blob remake in '88.
Oh wow.
He produced Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Pump Up the Volume, Critters 3, Critters 4, chairman of the board.
What the hell happened to Critters 2?
Yeah, he did produce Critters 2, apparently.
Oh, wow.
And then he got into some more obscure stuff, but he's part of producing Critters, a new binge that's coming up. But
wait, there's another Critters film coming out?
No, it's a series. It's going to be a Netflix series. Actually, it's being handled by the guy who directed Zombievers. And I talked to him, and he's got a new film out called The Drone, and I just yesterday got the screener for The Drone, which
I saw you mention that, yeah.
It's on embargo till next week, so I'm going to be doing a written review of it. But I'm hoping to possibly lean towards doing an interview with the guy to help talk about it, because he's, I saw that he was involved with Critters the New Binge, and I messaged him after I messaged him about the Drone screener. I'm like, oh, I see you're, involved in the new binge. I got some friends who are interested in it, like Dawn. She's looking forward to it. He's like, yeah, he's like, I've been bugging them to release information about it, and they haven't yet. So, it was cool talking to the guy. It's funny because when I messaged him about the Drone screener, just going, hey, I do this and I caught it, I totally forgot that I had talked to him. And he's the one that hooked me up with the Zombieverse screener. Because I totally forgot. I went through him, for it. It was like that I talked to him about it. I'm like, holy crap, I've talked to this guy before. But I like the one IMDb title of the review of City Limits, though. Nice cast, comic books as Bible, and a topless Kim Cattrall.
That sums up the movie. Pretty close. Pretty close to the movie right there.
There's your movie right there. So, well, I don't want to keep you guys, but thank you as always for doing this.
No, it was good to be back.
It's always fun to have you guys in here. Like I said, I'm going to kind of play it a little loose on February so people can vote for what movie they want to be involved in. And then from there, I will kind of pick the day we record.
Sure.
So, so if I've got, I'm actually whittling it down a little bit further, 2 to 3 people besides me, but I'm actually trying to keep it, in all honesty, to 2 now.
That's been pretty standard for the last year.
Which is the way it's
been. I think that works.
Which has been really the way it's been for the last at least 6 months. I haven't had many episodes where there's more than 2 other people, and it really works well now. So, as much as I'd love to get everybody in on it, it works best with just the 2 people.
There were times where we'd have the 4 or 5, and you'd get a couple people that ended up not saying as much because they didn't feel the need to say as much because they didn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. So
this works better, I think.
We'll see how that plays out for February, but thanks guys. Always fun talking to you. Great talking to you guys again. Awesome. Don't get to talk that much. You guys all been busy. And you got any plans besides working on projects, Glenn, for your vacation? Just relaxing at the Shield and Oak and Shield?
I don't know if I want to put pants on most of the days, and I have to put pants on to go there.
Oh, that's
So,
you don't have to.
I'm pretty sure I do. It is part of work. You know, it might reflect poorly if one of the store managers shows up pantsless.
Well, it does say no,
unless you're
no
invited as
shoes.
such, you know.
Well, yeah,
No,
sure.
You could wear a kilt. So
I could wear a kilt.
It's a little chilly for a kilt right now.
it
though.
is though.
It was chilly enough with pants on today.
It's true.
Yeah.
So no.
Well, and we're
And the
supposed to get
6 to 10 inches that we're supposed to get down here, I don't know what you're supposed to get up by you.
they're
6 to
talking
10 now? I
about-
heard 1 to 5. Crap.
No,
I just saw it just before I logged in to do this. They were saying 6 to 10.
For tomorrow, just?
yeah,
Yeah.
just over the course of tomorrow, we're supposed to get
Tomorrow into Wednesday.
Damnation.
6 to 8 they were talking about up here, because it's supposed to start early in the morning, and then it's supposed to really start dumping like midday. There's supposed to be like a band of snow that comes in that just dumps like an inch. I saw predictions where there might be areas where it's going to be like an inch an hour
Wonderful.
type of deal. So
So
yeah,
So sorry, Mark.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say that just when I saw that 69, I'm like, oh, so half a trivia in April.
Right. I'm like sitting there going, that's what's funny is, you know, after April, it's like, oh, 6 to 8 inches. You
Whatever.
know, though, you know, my Jill does still get a little nervous when I go out there to go shovel.
Fair.
Which I do have the brace in the bench that I take out, you know, if I'm going to shovel, and I'll probably take it out this time with this batch. But I also have 2 other shovels, so ye boys will be helping me tomorrow shovel,
Yeah.
depending on how much we actually get, because we've had that in a past too, though, where they said, oh, it's going to be like snowpocalypse. It's
Yeah.
going to be like the Arctic, and then
The wind shifted. And
Yeah.
it blew a little further north or a little further south, and it missed you.
Yeah, and then you look at the light dusting on the ground, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
No offense to my friends down there, but I say send it all to Chicago. So
Yeah. Well, most of it's been south, so
mm-hmm.
you know, yeah. See, depending on who you look at, now they're talking 3 to 5 up here, which still is a substantial amount.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah. I mean, it's going to totally fuck my sales day tomorrow.
yeah.
Most
I
likely.
imagine. Do you got a sale going on, or
Well, just, I mean, in general.
just
in
in
general.
general? Yeah.
The general sales. So.
Sales for the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sales for the day for us is probably going to go down as well because of that. So, but that's okay because we've had troubles. So,
Well, and I have to go downtown tomorrow too, because Tuesdays is our weekly, all the store managers get together and we have a meeting at the pub. So,
sure.
Which, you know, it's horrible. I have to go down there and I'm forced to have free lunch, and
Yeah, great.
Oh, twist
Oh,
my
which
arm.
is a little harder right now because I'm doing keto.
Oh.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
can still eat good food, but it's like but I want to have the soup and I want to have the tater tots, and I
Now
can't
that's
have
just,
any.
that's just meat and protein, right?
Well, it's I can have some carbs.
Uh-huh.
I have to avoid things like bread, but I mean I can still eat like some vegetables, a little bit of fruit. So
Okay.
Is it like a variation of the Atkins? Because I remember the Atkins was like no carbs type of thing.
something like that. But yeah, I mean this is the my diet's primarily you want to have most of your calories come from fat.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to have too much protein because if you have excess protein, that turns actually into a sugar in your body, and then your body burns that instead of burning fat. So, but it's also you have to be careful because a lot of people who do keto, same thing that happened with Atkins, is they're like, oh, so I can eat meat. I'm gonna have 5 cheeseburgers just without the buns.
Right.
Yeah, except that then you're still having 3,500 calories, which is too much.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So it's a calorie balance too. 'cause-
it is, and I've just it's.
It sounds like you're trying to teach your body to burn the fat so that you'll burn some of the excess, the
That's exactly.
leftover.
And I did this before the holidays,
Mhm.
and I lost about 15 pounds.
Nice.
Oh wow.
And then I gained like 6 of that back over the holidays because the holidays I'm just like the last thing I want to do is focus on what I'm eating.
It's the holidays.
Well, it's also, you know, when I'm working a 60-hour week, I don't want to sit there and go, well, now I got to go home and I got to prepare this specific food. I'm like, screw it. I just work a 13-hour day. I'm hitting the drive-through.
Eat the thing. You just eat whatever's convenient and go from there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna stay on this. I'm gonna cheat when I'm in New York. I'm not gonna try to do it when I'm in New York. I'm in New York. I'm gonna, you know, I get free meals on the boss. I'm gonna eat some good food.
Yeah.
And my last night, I don't know if I'll repeat last year, but I'll go out and I'll have a few beers. Last year was a bit much.
Kind of half remember that.
Oh my God.
Which is probably more than you remember.
Probably more than
I remember all of it.
Oh, that's a fun thing.
I remember absolutely everything because I even remember the point where I'm like, holy crap. That's right. New York bars don't close at 2 on a weekday like they do in Milwaukee. It's 10 to 4. I have to be up for my flight in 2.5 hours.
Oh, heck.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was still drunk on the cab ride to the airport. That was awful.
That does not sound like fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
There's always jokes, you know, like before I started flying, there were always jokes, oh yeah, people go to the airport and get drunk and get on a plane, and I'm like, and then I just going to the air, and I'm like, why? How? Why would you? That sounds like a really awful idea.
I mean, I could see getting a slight buzz, but getting drunk, oh my God, that was a horrible flight.
Yeah, just relaxed is one thing, just to kind of take the edge off. But yeah, you know, you have a couple, you know, 1 or 2 and you're fine. But yeah, no.
I had.
Oh, I'm gonna get it.
Somewhere in the high 10s.